Hello everyone and welcome to game number 2 in our best of 3 third place match between Soren Johnson and Gameslayer. Game 1 going over to Gameslayer despite a nice quick lead from Soren, it felt like. Soren mostly just struggling with a lot of debt that game. Gameslayer's double geos definitely coming through for him there, knocking that power price down before Soren could really get any of his debt paid off and left Soren in a very awkward spot all told. This map looks a bit more forgiving than that one. Certainly more spots for almost any colony these players would want. I mean, there's definitely acceptable carbon, good aluminum spread throughout, good water available. And only 5 silicon tiles is going to be the most awkward thing. I would actually find it absolutely hilarious if somebody just like squashed those with expansive or something and see what happens the rest of this game. I wouldn't be too surprised actually if a scavenger just kind of threw down in this area and only left like 1 or 2 of those available. Let's see what they can do with that. Which scav spot do you want, says Gameslayer. Well, yeah, that's a fair question. Soren does like his scavengers, and we've seen a lot of success out of scavenger in these 1v1 games, so we'll just have to see what ends up happening. I'm wondering if Soren can actually be patient this time. This is something that seems to be consistent with him. He loves founding, and that's exactly what he's going to do here once again. Taking the scavenger spot in the middle of the map, Gameslayer taking the one with the silicon next to it. So Soren might end up with a small lead in upgrading. Soren running a little bit behind on the aluminum, with Gameslayer going to be a little bit behind on the carbon. And I don't know who's going to come out ahead here, but it is worth noting that Gameslayer, he hasn't really purchased any resources just yet, whereas Soren already has. So it's very likely that Gameslayer will, like, Soren's going to have this upgrade in mere moments, whereas Gameslayer, he's going to be waiting around a bit longer. Soren is immediately going to send a claim out to this medium silicon tile, and that's going to cause weird things this game. So despite his fast found, he was able to get a benefit out of that push into this medium silicon that I'm sure Gameslayer wanted. And now we've got a bit of a game on our hands. Gameslayer still not having moved to HQ level 2 just yet. Now he has it available, and yeah, gonna go ahead and take that. And what are you gonna do with it? Soren, are you actually trying to take... where's that claim go? It disappeared. Never mind, Soren says he wants carbon. I like that play. I think that's a much better play than whatever else he was doing, quite frankly. He can go into some carbon, he can go into some silicon, he needs to buy up glass. Doing that now, and I'd say Soren once again has a pretty significant lead this game.
8,000, 10,000.
Alright. Claim auction coming out. Don't know how players are going to value this. Both of these players like to take auctions, though. Both of them are very debt-heavy players, generally speaking. So this going up to 28 or 32,000 doesn't surprise me. 36 does. Soren, did you not learn your lesson from last game? Oh man, 36,000 for a claim. That is a lot. It does even up the claim difference between these two players, Gameslayer with his bonus from founding late. And it does mean that Soren is going to get to take the other high water this game, making sure that Gameslayer does not have access to one of those, it looks like. Or, no, he went flying right past it. Where are you going with that, Soren? You could have had the high water. What are you doing? Where are you going? He wants the geotherm. Interesting. Interesting. That's a bit early, maybe, to commit to the geotherm. I thought he was headed here to the water, but then he flew right on past it and took the geo. We'll have to see how that works out for him, and if he's going to commit to it before or after upgrading. Alright. Power surge right onto Gameslayer's carbon. That could be interesting. Carbon very, very inexpensive in the moment, but as long as Soren avoids spending too much carbon, that price is going to be moving on up. Or selling too much carbon, that price is going to be moving on up. And it's going to make it a bit more difficult for Gameslayer to get to upgrades, to get to new buildings. Alright, Soren getting slowed down as well. He does just take the upgrade. I like that, instead of committing to the geotherm in his current situation. And I expect to see just the standard, a couple of glass furnaces. Maybe that other low silicon is worth taking, just to make sure he has plenty ready to go this game. I'm going to be a little bit nervous for him if he goes into 3 glass furnaces, though. That's something that I would like him to avoid doing. And we do have the third glass furnace coming down. I don't like this because I feel like he doesn't have quite enough silicon coming in to make this work. And it's just another situation where you kind of end up with just over-making glass a bit, combined with not having enough silicon. Makes it so the glass furnaces weren't near as much of an advantage as they could have been, because it allows your opponent access to that glass still, and it lets them potentially make more money off of the silicon. So you got to watch out when you're going for these 3 glass furnaces. It'll be interesting to see how that goes as we move into the later stages of this game. Soren actually continuing to buy up carbon here. That's interesting. Really wants that so he can push to that geotherm. He has managed to get that down. Gameslayer is still stuck in the mud at HQ level 2 back here. Is just waiting and waiting and waiting for his carbon to come on in. That having gotten very expensive. And whoa, teleportation. Again, teleportation auction. Alright, guys. We saw, what, 36,000 for a claim? So are we going to see, like, 80,000 for teleportation? Probably not. It's 1v1. Pirates and magnetic storms are available, though. Soren wants this again. Come on, Gameslayer. Push him. Just push him. 32. Let's see it. Nope. 28. Over to Soren once again. Already in $87,000 worth of debt. With that double B rating for a 12% interest rate when that rolls on around. So Soren, he has basically decided that he doesn't want any more auctions this game, come what may. And that could get interesting depending on what comes up. Geotherm coming down is not going to be a whole lot of money just yet. 2 scavengers don't really consume a whole lot of power compared to everybody else. Especially now that steel mills are at that 0.3 power production and nobody has reactors down just yet. Gameslayer just now moving into them. So this will be making... I mean, it'll be paying off debt for Soren, right? That's it. It'll just be paying off some of that excess debt that he's picked up from all these auctions. Mutiny is actually what's used to attack Gameslayer's carbon this time, and Gameslayer's not really sitting on a lot of carbon, just a lot of aluminum, which isn't really worth anything, unfortunately for him. So this mutiny is gonna hurt quite badly, I think. He's also got a lot of silicon, but I almost want to see these guys moved out of. Like, just develop that stockpile of aluminum, buy it up now at this $2, right? Make sure you've got like a couple hundred so you can safely upgrade. And then switch these tiles into something, and solar panels will work. He certainly had enough silicon for that, especially after mutinying away Soren's, but is it going to be enough to catch up? Because Soren's already on HQ level 4, like dead or no. He's still successfully moving through these upgrades, pushing to extra claims, compared to Gameslayer. His glass is to the point of doing almost nothing but costing him money. Because silicon is just so expensive, Gameslayer has bought that up to kind of force that situation with this mutiny. And he might be able to force Soren into a rotation of his glass furnaces, at least for now. They are burning a little bit of money. Oh, and the network virus hits. Well, that's going to be painful for Soren. He is going to be forced to purchase up the resources to keep those active. And I don't know, he is trying to he's sitting on basically 0 funds, which means it kind of is a nice way to fight the network virus. If you have no money, it won't take any of your money, right? That is one way to deal with the network virus situation.
I don't know everybody's name yet. 8,000, 9,000, 12,000.
Alright, new claim. How high is Soren going to be willing to push this one basically becomes the question. Gameslayer's got it at 18 right now. Soren, it looks like, is taking some time to get a mutiny out. Stealing away Gameslayer's low silicon to try and, you know, save himself from this virus, effectively. And he will end up picking up that claim for $20,000 once again. And Soren's on HQ 5 to Gameslayer's 4. Like, Gameslayer just not able to get enough money to actually move through upgrades effectively here. And I think it was maybe just overcommitting to that silicon play in a moment where he didn't really have any right to be doing that. He was so far behind. He needed to push to the upgrade. He had the money for it. He was just choosing not to. And I don't think it quite paid off. I mean, these glass furnaces are profitable again. Silicon's back down to nothing after he sold out of it. And he just slowed himself down so much by making these plays. I don't know if he's going to be able to recover. I mean, Soren, he only needs, what, like 24,000 more dollars? A little more than that now to put up this Offworld. He's got 300 of the carbon necessary for it. 3 claims left. He really should commit to something. It's going to be a little bit of aluminum. Gameslayer completely out of aluminum right now. That does make sense. He's buying up. He's got all kinds of water stored up at this point for Soren. And that Offworld, let's see how valuable it's actually going to be. Oh yeah, water. Look at food here. Food at 696. Like, I almost expect this to be a walkover victory from here for Soren. All he's got to do is actually put that Offworld down under a goon squad with an adrenaline boost, and the game is over. Immediately at that point. He's got the cash for it. He's already purchased the boost. He'll probably wait until he's got the goon available as well, and that's when he'll make that move into the Offworld. Interest does push him down into C levels of debt, but that's not down far enough. Alright, he dropped the Offworld, but Gameslayer does not have access to a black market action right now. So Soren will be able to establish this goon squad that he needs before Gameslayer is able to get aggressive, and at that point, the adrenaline boost can certainly come out. And we will see this Offworld online and launching very, very soon. Drop it, Soren. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. It's all right. It's all good. There you go. Oh. It's about to get all Shia LaBeouf on Soren there. Shouldn't do that. Anyways, Gameslayer is trying to break through that goon squad, but, I mean, Scavenger against Scavenger. Soren is still always going to have the goon available here for these boosts. Gameslayer is on HQ level 4, and the game is over at this point. It is sad to say, I think. As long as Soren doesn't do anything colossally idiotic, moronic, whatever you want to say, he is just going to coast on through to victory this time. Now, who knows? Maybe Soren's going to bid for a 48,000 claim. It does seem like the kind of play Soren would make. Maybe he'll end up in $1 stock price worth of debt, you know? But I find that unlikely. I find that unlikely to actually happen. As long as Soren just goes through the basic steps of the game correctly from here, he should be able to wrap this one on up. I'm wondering if he's looking at pushing to another Offworld. He's got these boosted tiles sitting here dead, which isn't what you want. But it's kind of difficult to find a spot to something to do with them. Reactors, it looks like, are going to be the right call, as he already had plenty of food production down. I don't know. Food wouldn't have been a bad idea either, certainly. Just make sure that you've got all that food for this launch. And Soren, like, the big problem with Soren right now is the Offworld is online and he's not using it. There we go. There's that food boost coming through. He's only going to get basically one launch out of this boost, which is ridiculously bad. Whenever you boost an Offworld, you're basically fully constructing the Offworld and getting at least like 2 launches out of it, preferably, right? Potentially 3. It's a 2-minute boost, so you've got 4 minutes worth of stuff, and so only getting it built and a boost out of it is horrendously bad.
Offworld shipment launched.
Or, it built and a launch out of it. And it's basically going to be maybe a launch and a half for Soren. But he still has so much cash. Gameslayer only now just getting to HQ level 5. Soren very easily pressing on through. He only needs 3 more stock purchases. He's got 1 right now if he wants to use it. He may commit to a goon squad instead. Just to make sure, let's just get that goon squad down, make sure nothing too bad can happen. And that, I think, is well worth it. Just only 2 remaining. Soren only needs about $40,000 more to clean up this game. And he will have that in about 10 seconds here. So, very, very soon, we should be moving on to game number 3 in our third place match. And seeing if Gameslayer can actually take that away from Soren this time. There's the launch. There's the money. Press the button! Soren. 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 There you go! There's the money, you've got the money, just make it happen, just buy the stock, you got it done, yes! Thank you. So frustrating. It's like, I'm gonna keep doing fancy plays, end the game. Just go kill him. Just go kill him, it's fine, just go kill him. Alright. Ugh. So game 2, pretty solid handily won game by Soren. Gameslayer just so far behind, being 2 HQ levels behind your opponent, is almost entirely unrecoverable. And Soren did not make the mistakes necessary to really allow Gameslayer an avenue back into this one, so we are going to be headed to a game number 3.